On July 8, 1996, a 34-year-old architect named Egbert Rimkus landed in Los Angeles, walked up to a rental counter, and signed for a green Plymouth Voyager minivan. He had done this kind of trip before. He and his girlfriend, Cornelia Meyer, were experienced travelers. They had crossed the American Southwest on an earlier vacation and come home with photographs and good stories. This time, they brought the children. Egbert's 11-year-old son, Georg, Cornelia's 4-year-old boy, Max, 2 adults, 2 kids, 3 weeks, 1 van, and a summer road trip through the wide-open country that people fly across the world to see. They spent a few days in Las Vegas first. They stayed at the Mirage. They won a little money at the slot machines, the kind of small luck that makes a vacation feel blessed. And then, on a clear morning of the 3rd week of July, they pointed the minivan west and drove into Death Valley National Park. They never drove out. There was no other vehicle, no storm, no crime that anyone could ever prove. The van was found 3 months later in October, stuck on a rough back road deep in the Panamint Mountains, its doors unlocked, the family's belongings still inside, the keys gone. Of the 4 people who drove in that morning, not one was ever seen alive again. For 13 years, no one knew what happened to them. 13 years. A 4-year-old would have finished high school in the time it took searchers to find the first bone. This was not a freak accident. It was not simply bad luck landing on good people. What happened to that family in the green minivan is closer to a recipe, one that Death Valley has followed without variation for over a century, and one that the park still follows every single summer. And here is the part that should frighten you, because it will apply to you the day you finally make this drive. The thing that killed them was not the heat, not directly, not the cliffs, not the distance, not the sun. It was a decision, a small, reasonable, human decision that felt like the safe choice at the exact moment it turned fatal. Hold that green minivan in your mind. We are going to come back to it. But first, you need to understand the road it was parked on. Death Valley is the largest national park in the lower 48 states. 3.4 million acres, bigger than the entire state of Connecticut, dropped into the California desert where almost nobody lives. And inside all of that, spread across an area the size of a small country, there are exactly 3 places you can buy: gasoline, Furnace Creek, Stovepipe Wells, Panamint Springs. That is it, 3 pumps for a country-sized park. Between them are distances that would swallow whole highways in any other state. On Badwater Road at the southern edge of the valley, there is a plain metal sign that thousands of tourists photograph without really reading. It says, "Next services, 72 miles. Sit with that number." 72 miles. If your tank runs dry on the wrong side of that sign, the nearest person who can help you is more than an hour away by car, in a place where your phone very likely shows no bars at all. People come to Death Valley braced for the wrong dangers. They watch the cliff edges at Dante's View. They keep the kids away from the drop-offs. They worry about the heat the way you worry about a hot stove, as something you can simply choose not to touch. But the thing that actually fills the coroner's reports out here is quieter and far more ordinary. It is a fuel gauge sliding toward empty on a road with no exit. It is a car that stops moving in a place built to kill anything that stops moving. Measured against the size of the park and the emptiness around it, running dry in Death Valley is not a rare catastrophe. It is a standing appointment the desert keeps with a few unlucky drivers every year. And the reason it keeps working, the reason smart, careful, experienced people keep dying inside their own vacations, comes down to a single cruel paradox. The thing that makes Death Valley feel safe is the exact thing that kills you: your car. To understand why an empty tank out here is a death sentence and not an inconvenience, you have to understand what kind of place Death Valley actually is. Because it is not a desert the way you picture a desert. The valley floor sits below sea level. At Badwater Basin, the ground drops to 282 feet beneath the surface of the ocean, the lowest point on the continent. And that low ground is trapped. Tall mountain ranges wall the valley in on every side, some of the peaks rising over 11,000 feet. You can stand on the salt flats sweating in 120-degree heat and look up at snow on Telescope Peak. Same park, same afternoon. That geography turns the whole valley into a machine for making heat. Sunlight pours in and cooks the rock and the salt. The hot air tries to rise, but the mountains trap it, so it sinks back down, compresses, and grows hotter still. Then it does it again. And again. Every day of the summer, the valley reheats its own air like an oven that never opens the door. The numbers this machine produces do not sound real. On July 10, 1913, the weather station at Furnace Creek recorded a temperature of 134 degrees, still the hottest air temperature ever reliably measured anywhere on the surface of the Earth. In more recent years, with modern instruments, the valley has hit 130. And on July 15, 1972, someone measured the temperature of the ground itself. Not the air, the dirt. It read 201 degrees, 11 degrees short of boiling water. You could have cooked on the desert floor. The prospectors who stumbled through here during the gold rush gave the place its name for a reason. Some of them died crossing it. The valley gets less than 2.5 inches of rain in an entire year. There were stretches in the 1930s when barely half an inch fell across 40 straight months. This is the arena, a country-sized oven walled in by mountains, drier than almost anywhere on Earth, with 3 gas pumps in the whole expanse. Now put a car in it, and put yourself behind the wheel. Picture the drive the way almost everyone actually makes it. You come in from Las Vegas or from the West, and for the first hour, the park is a highlight reel. You pull over at the overlooks. You take the photo at the Badwater sign, standing on the cracked white salt with your sunglasses on. And through all of it, you are inside a sealed, cool, humming box. The air conditioning is on. There is water in the cup holder. Music is playing. Your body has no idea where it is. That is the first lie the desert tells you, and it tells it through your own car. Inside the cabin, Death Valley is scenery. It is something happening on the other side of the glass, beautiful and a little unreal, like a nature documentary you can drive through. The heat is an abstraction, a number on the dashboard readout you point at and laugh about. So you relax. And because you are relaxed, you make relaxed decisions. You decide to see one more thing before you fill up. You take the scenic route instead of the short one. Maybe you turn off the paved road onto a graded dirt one because the map shows something interesting at the end of it and the van has made it this far just fine. And the whole time, the gauge is dropping. You notice it. You are not careless. You tell yourself, I've got enough to reach the next station. And you probably do. Probably. Here is where the desert stops being scenery, because the moment your car stops moving for any reason at all, everything inverts. An engine overheats. A tire blows on rock that is 200 degrees. You take a wrong turn onto soft sand and the wheels dig in and spin. Or the simplest one of all, The tank finally hits empty on the wrong side of that 72-mile sign. It does not matter which. The result is identical. You are now a warm-blooded animal, standing still, in a place that punishes standing still, and you step out of the car. That is the moment your body finally learns where it has been this whole time. The first breath outside is not like walking into heat. It is like walking into a wall. The air is hotter than your own body, which means it is not cooling you at all. It is heating you. Your skin, which has spent your entire life shedding warmth into the air around it, suddenly has nowhere to send it. There is a threshold once the heat climbs past about 99 degrees, where the air stops helping you and starts working against you. Death Valley in summer blows past that threshold before breakfast. Your only defense is sweat. And sweat in this kind of dryness evaporates so fast you never even feel wet. You just feel your water leaving. The Park Service tells visitors to drink a full gallon of water a day out here, and that is the floor, not the ceiling. Now imagine rationing what is left of a single warm bottle, and this is where the last, worst instinct takes over. The one that killed the family in the green minivan, and has killed people every decade since. You decide to walk. It is the most human decision in the world. Sitting still next to a dead car feels like giving up. Walking feels like doing something. You can see a ridge in the distance. You tell yourself the road is just over it, or that there will be a ranger or a signal or another car. Your brain, already beginning to cook, is very bad at judging distance in a place with no trees and no buildings to give it scale. A mountain that looks like a 20-minute walk is 4 hours away, so you leave the one thing out here that could actually save your life. You walk away from the car, and here is the sentence you have to hold on to because it is the entire video in 8 words. The car does not kill you. Leaving it does. You might be telling yourself none of this applies to you. You are fit. You are careful. You would never be that reckless. Hold on to that thought, because the desert has heard it before, from people far tougher than you. On July 6, 2024, 6 men rode into Death Valley on motorcycles. They were experienced riders, touring one of the most famous roads in the country, moving through the Badwater Basin area in the early afternoon. That day, the valley hit 128 degrees, a record for the date. On a motorcycle, there is no air-conditioned box to hide in. There is only the wind, and in Death Valley, the wind is a blast furnace. Worse, they were wearing the heavy protective gear that keeps riders alive in a crash. Gear that seals in every degree of body heat. One of them collapsed and died there in the basin. Another was rushed away with severe heat illness. And when rescuers tried to reach them by air, they could not. Medical helicopters cannot safely fly when it is over 120 degrees because the air is too thin and too hot to hold them up. The heat was so extreme it grounded the rescue itself. Sit with that. The sky was too hot to be saved from. Fitness did not save that rider. Experience did not save him. The best safety gear he owned helped kill him. The heat here does not only come from above. In that same brutal summer, a visitor lost his sandals walking on the Mesquite Flat sand dunes. The air was around 123 degrees. The sand was far hotter. By the time he made it back, the soles of his feet were burned. Second-degree burns from walking. In the place where the ground once measured 201 degrees, the surface under your shoes is a weapon of its own. Barefoot on that sand, you are standing on a stove. Then there is the danger nobody thinks to fear, the one hiding inside the very act of driving carefully. The leading cause of death for visitors to Death Valley is not the cliffs, and it is not people wandering off into the dunes. It is single vehicle car accidents. And a chilling number of these happen because the driver, sealed in that comfortable cabin, slowly overheats without realizing it, becomes confused, and passes out at the wheel. The car drifts off the road at speed. No other vehicle involved. No mechanical failure. Just a human being cooked into unconsciousness while doing everything he thought was right. Planning did not save them. Caution did not save them. Being inside the car did not save them. Every one of these people believed the same comforting thing you probably believe right now, that the danger was something they could see coming and simply avoid. The edge, the obvious mistake, the reckless choice. But Death Valley does not kill you with the danger you are watching. It kills you with the one you have stopped watching. The fuel gauge, the rising cabin temperature, the extra hour you spent chasing one more view. And it has done it enough times that this is not a scrapbook of freak stories. It is a pattern with a body count. Dozens of people have died in this park. The desert is not aiming at any of them in particular. It does not need to. So let me tell you exactly how not to become the next name in that pattern. Not vague advice. Rules. The kind you follow whether they feel necessary or not, because out here, the moment something feels necessary, it is already too late. Fill your tank before you enter the park. Then top it off at every single station you pass, even if the needle is still high. Even if the gas here costs nearly double what it should. Furnace Creek, Stovepipe Wells, Panamint Springs. Treat every pump like it might be the last one, because in the space you are about to drive into it might be. A full tank is the difference between a wrong turn and a funeral. Full tank, every time. No exceptions. Stay on the paved roads in summer. That graded dirt road that looks like a shortcut to something beautiful is exactly the kind of road the green minivan died on. If a route is not paved and you do not know it cold, it is not for you today. Carry far more water than you think you could ever drink. A gallon per person per day is the survival minimum, not the goal. Bring extra. Bring electrolytes too, because plain water alone, poured through a body sweating this hard, is not enough. Tell someone outside the park your exact route and the time you expect to be out. Someone who will notice and who will call when you are not. And this is the one that saves lives more than any other, the one that runs against every instinct in your body. If your car breaks down or runs dry, stay with it. Do not walk. Your vehicle is shade. It is a giant metal signal that is far easier to spot from a distance and from the air than a single person crawling across the salt. Raise the hood so it is clear you need help. If you can, mark a large X on the ground where a plane could see it. Then wait. Ration your water and wait. Staying still will feel like doing nothing while you die. It is the opposite. Out here, the walkers are the ones who do not come home. The car does not kill you. Leaving it does. It is tempting to think of Death Valley as cruel, to picture the desert as something with the will, lying in wait, hunting the tourists who wander in. But that is a comfort in its way. Cruelty would mean the place noticed you, that it cared enough to want you gone. The truth is colder than cruelty. The desert is not cruel because cruelty would require it to know you are there. It does not. It has no opinion about your family, your vacation, your careful plans, the water in your cup holder, or the child asleep in your back seat. It is simply a low, hot, walled-in basin doing what heat and dryness and distance have always done, with perfect patience and total indifference to anything that stops moving inside it. That indifference is the whole danger. A cruel thing can be reasoned with or outrun or feared into caution. An indifferent thing simply is. The 128 degrees does not rise or fall based on how experienced you are. The 72 miles do not shrink because you are a good person in a hurry to get home. The desert offers no warnings you did not bring yourself, and grants no mercy you did not pack in the trunk. It will still be here, exactly this hot and exactly this empty, on the day you finally drive into it. The only variable in the entire equation is you, and what is in your tank. Which brings us back to the green minivan. We know now more or less what happened to Egbert Rimkus and his family, because in 2009, 13 years after they vanished, two volunteer searchers named Tom Mahood and Les Walker did what the desert counts on people being too sensible to do. They thought like the lost. The family had turned off the pavement onto a rough back road in the Panamint Mountains, the kind of road the rules tell you never to take. Somewhere out there, the van got stuck. And then they faced the choice this whole video has been building toward. Stay with the vehicle in the shade where a search would eventually look, or walk out toward what they must have believed was help. The searchers found their remains miles from the van. It appears the family climbed out of the mountains and pushed south and west across brutal waterless ground in July toward the distant fence line of a military base, hoping, it seems, that soldiers would be there to save them. Cornelia and 11-year-old Georg did not make it as far as the other two. Egbert and little Max went farther still. Think about that for a moment, because it is almost unbearable. Somewhere in the last hours, a grown man was leading, or carrying, or pulling along a 4-year-old boy across ground hot enough to blister bare feet, in air well over 120 degrees, with no water left and no help coming, still moving, still trying, because stopping felt like surrender. They were doing the human thing, the loving thing, the thing every one of us would want to believe we would do for a child. And it was the thing that killed them. They had driven into the park on a clear summer morning. 4 people on a vacation, having just won a little money in Vegas with 3 weeks of good memories still ahead of them. A father, his son, a woman he loved, and her little boy, Max, 4 years old, who had a whole life he never got to have because a rental van got stuck on a road it should never have been on, 70-something miles from the nearest pump, and the adults who loved him made the only decision that felt brave. The desert did not hate them. It never even knew they were there. So the next time you are planning the drive, the one you will make someday, with the overlooks and the salt flats and the photo at the sign, remember the green minivan. Remember Max. And before you cross into all that beautiful, patient emptiness, look down at one small thing on your dashboard and make sure that needle is all the way full. Never enter Death Valley without a full tank. It really is that simple, and it really is that final. If this one stayed with you, YouTube thinks you are going to want the one already waiting on your screen. Go ahead and let it play.